Bam! What is up with the squad? It's Cess, your favorite team, Uncle Tendencies in the building. Y'all know, welcome in the Cess Talk Sports, BeWise, PoliSports, Tea Time. Yeah, I gotta apologize, y'all, because I gotta fix the thumbnail. We welcome to Gaslight, Unveiling the Politics of Sports. This is a live edition of the rise of NIL and the new black athlete economy. We talking equity over exposure today. We're gonna pull the mask off of one of the slickest lies in modern politics, the illusion of ownership. So, y'all know, y'all know, I got my PoliSports Tea Time partner in crime, the one that pulls all the wool back over all of this business to get to the politics of political ill in the building. Uh, but let's talk about it, because for years this system been trying to convince folks, young black athletes specifically, that visibility equals power. But a billboard with your face on it don't mean you own nothing. It don't mean you in control of nothing. The sneaker deal don't mean you have no equity in anything. Y'all hit the like and the share. They both right there. Mask off. Louis, what's happening? Um, if the image is yours but the profit is theirs, that's not ownership. That's branded with shackles. We to build empires we never allowed to own. We never allowed to own. Okay, and so the plantation just changed shapes. It went from a cotton field to college arenas to $1 billion pro leagues. And if you don't believe us, look at what's happening with the WNBA right now. And we're gonna look at this from an NIL era, but it's applied across sports. It's applied across business, really. But we're gonna stick right here in the lens of sports. Athletes are still being taught to chase exposure instead of equity, promote somebody else's bag instead of building their own. So the question we got to ask is simple and strategic. How do we stop playing the role of highly paid performers in $1 billion sports machines and start becoming educated owners, equity negotiators, and political organizers for our communities? See, we're not just here to talk about sports. We're here to talk about power. We're here to talk about legacy. Y'all know where y'all at. This is PoliSports Tea Time. Y'all hit the like and the share. They both right there. We're here to talk about how our athletes can move from being marketed to being in control. So to anchor this conversation, I'm bringing in the voice that always brings the politics to the front. Y'all get your ears together for my calls. Political ill, what's happening?
All right, thank you, Auntie. Look, fam, it's good to see everybody in the room tonight. Definitely appreciate you all, rocking and spending your time with us. But before we dive in, let me lay the foundation because we are in a moment of reckoning. Our young black athletes are waking up, but they're waking up inside a burning house, and that burning house is their name, image, and likeness. And on the surface, it looked like opportunity, but if we're not careful, it's going to become just another tool to commercialize our culture without shifting the ownership structure. And that's what we're seeing in the WNBA right now, as Cess alluded to. So it's not about signing deals. It's not about a higher salary. It's about understanding the design, and then trying to redesign. So, we're watching athletes make millions and still lead a game with nothing, or wind up 5 years out the game and totally broke. They got the statues outside, families, with the homes and living off the paycheck, but that's a failure. That's not a system operating, the way you would want it to. So tonight we're going to try to expose the difference between getting endorsements and equity and having visibility and power. You don't want to just be marketed. You want to be in control. And so we get ready to step into the truth behind the game. Go ahead, Cess.
So we getting ready to get into this, but I want y'all to think about a question. I got a question for everybody that's in the room as we start to break this down, as we get into this. This is something I want y'all to think about and respond in the chat. Respond in the chat. Let us know how you feel about. And this is the question that I have. This is the question I have. When you see an athlete promoting a product, what tells you whether they're truly benefiting or just being used as the face of somebody else's profits? Y'all let me know what tells y'all that, because we're gonna break this down. And we're gonna open the conversation with the truth. It ain't gonna be comfortable because this is PoliSports Tea Time. It ain't comfort time. We get comfortable other times, but not right now. We're gonna live in a moment where athletes, especially these young black athletes, they being told that being seen is the same thing as being powerful. Being seen is not the same thing as being powerful. See, visibility has never been the same as ownership. The system will put you on a billboard, put you in a commercial, put your highlights on every screen, but still keep you out the boardroom. They'll have a meeting and won't even tell you. They'll be in a meeting about you and won't even tell you. But your face on the screen, your face on the billboard, your face showing up in the community centers, passing out the shoes, doing all the work. But you ain't in no important meetings. You ain't on no conference calls. You ain't got no Zoom links. They ain't telling you to meet us on Teams. Nothing. You hear me? None of that. So we got to start thinking about where the real money is being made. For generations, black labor has built empires, but we ain't been allowed to own it. Plantations to the NCAA pro leagues. Dynamics keep getting rebranded, and we keep going for the same damn trick, the same power structure. It stays the same. The NIL era, the trap is evolving. Okay, instead of telling athletes you can't earn nothing, the new game plan tells them, here's a deal, here's some exposure, here's some followers. But nobody handling education to ask the real question, like who's actually profiting from their image? Who own the machinery behind the brand? Mm-hmm. And this is why we talking about the illusion of ownership. That's why this is called the illusion of ownership. Because it looked like freedom. It feel like opportunity. But if the image is yours, but the cash app hidden somewhere else, that's not ownership. You know what I'm saying? If you out here singing and dancing and performing, and yo, click, 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 y'all know the little noise cash app make when it hit. Don't act like I'm the only one. You know, I go click, click, click. Oh, somebody love me. You know, when I hear it, yeah, okay. No, if it's hidden somewhere else, if that direct deposit is in somebody else's account, what do it matter? That doesn't matter. That's not ownership. That's sophisticated exploitation wrapped in sponsorship. So that's deals. That's Instagram like. So let's pull that curtain back on illusion. Let's pull that curtain back so the illusion don't fool nobody no more. Okay. Yeah, that's a show pony. See what I'm saying? That's a show pony. Thank you. The players that are wearing the brand but not speaking on it after they read the fine print. You see what I'm saying? I think I see. Okay. I talked about Kawhi Leonard. Now, one day, and I just want to remind everybody, Kawhi was with Nike, I believe. And he came to Nike, and when he first got there, he came there with this logo that he had one day in homeroom or wherever he was at. He had sketched up this logo that was his. And he got into the deal with Nike. He signed the deal. And then he got ready to go to New Balance and was like, well, I'm going to leave here with what I bought. Let me pick up my logo. And Nike was like, I bet you won't. Remember that paperwork you signed? Ain't your logo no more. Even though you sketched it, it was yours. That don't belong to you anymore. That's us. So you can take you and your brand somewhere else, but you'll leave that claw here with us. Steph Curry was almost in that same situation. He had to get an agreement as of November 14th to be able to still own his logo, the little splash, because he was in, he had to get into a negotiation to get that back. You got to be careful, and these are the things that we got to make sure that we're teaching our young people about owning your name. See, a lot of people say a lot of things about Michael Jordan, and you can say that he didn't do this and he didn't do that, but the one thing that Michael Jordan did and he still continues to do right now is he came into the game. You know what he did? Trademarked it. You got to ask me to use it. You got to pay me to use it. That's how you brand something. There's a lot of people running around here talking about you a brand, but if I can put it on anything I want to without your say so, I don't know that you own it. He said, "Hey, got my daddy name, got my daddy blood on it. I'm gonna own that one." You understand? Michael Jordan,
Reese just did the same thing.
Reese did the same thing. See, that's where the ownership. See, ownership come with paperwork. Ownership come with receipts. Ownership don't come with likes. It don't come with followers. That's nice. That don't mean that you own nothing. That means that somebody like what you're doing. The ownership come with that paperwork filed somewhere. You see, if you ain't never been out to file no paperwork, you don't know about owning nothing. Ownership requires paperwork. Yeah, everybody talk about Angel. She just a trademark and a trademark and a trademark and a trademark because that's where the ownership lies. If you're in all caps on something, you don't own that. It's in all caps when it become trademark and owned like that. Go check the paperwork now.
Yep, allows you to license your name.
Exactly. So, Leo, this is what I want to ask you about. When these young athletes step into this NIL space, or even we talk about NIL, right? But also understand that this applies to endorsements. This applies to anybody that's getting into deals. This is branding overall. So I don't want people to make the mistake that we're just talking about high schoolers. Name,
college,
image, likeness is basically the same. It's endorsements now. That's endorsement deals. They're one and the same as far as they're interchangeable as far as I'm concerned. So when they step into this NIL space, thinking they're in control, what are the biggest signs that what they have is visibility and not actual ownership? Break that down for us.
Well, the first red flag, the brand owns the narrative and not the athlete. And if the deal dictates how they speak, dress, act, or what platforms they can use, that's visibility with limits, and it's not ownership. And then your second red flag is you have no equity and no residuals. If athletes get a one-time check, but the company profits off their name, image, and viral content forever, that's exposure without power. And I'll give you a quick example. Whoever got residuals in the TV show Martin, they just getting check after check after check, because he's on every platform. So if you signed your deal getting residuals, you get money anytime that show goes into syndication, And then the third red flag is depending on algorithms and media cycles. Like if your value rises and falls with clips, trends, or manufactured storyline, that's not ownership. It's just being rented by the system. And then the final red flag is you don't have no control of their data. So if they don't own the audience list, your analytics, or your engagement data, then the platform owns the relationship and not the athlete. So at the end of the day, visibility is what they're given, but ownership is what you negotiate. And most athletes really don't know the difference yet.
Jay-Z and Beyonce trademarked everything, even their kids' names. Yeah, ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Ownership. So let's we always like to go back. Always like to go back in time. Got to go back in time, get some history here, context. Cause this is where we take the time to really try to build some evergreen content for people to be able to come back and refer to, but also be able to give some context for what we're seeing right now, how we can operate and build wealth in this time and space right now, the opportunities that we have. So let's go back, because this NIL didn't come out of nowhere. Truth is, look, black talent always been profitable in this country. We know it, but it's rarely in control. From slavery to sharecropping to college athletics. Well, somebody, when we talk about, entertainers and stuff, I was surprised at how much control James Brown had. Mm-hmm. I was surprised that when I went back and watched his story, like, oh, hey, hold on. James is out here cutting up, but hey, mastermind with the business. If you don't believe me, check him out. But listen, that's rare. That's from slavery to sharecropping to college athletics. That's been rare. The pattern repeats itself. The cycle it makes billions, so they just keep feeding it. Black bodies doing the labor while white institutions collect the wealth. And we so crazy, we go sign up at the white institutions before we'll go sign up at a black institution. But we'll get into if a black institution is really a black institution or not. Never mind. I don't want to go down that road. That'll really blow some people hair back if we get to really talking about how HBCU is that HBCU. Yeah, okay. I don't want to. We going into the holidays. Okay, let me stay right here. But when slavery ended, the system didn't give up its power. It just kept rebranding it. Sharecropper replaced the change. Economics stayed the same. And now you fast forward to NCAA era, you see the same blueprint. Black athletes filling up the stadiums, selling jerseys, driving $1 billion TV deals. Being told they amateurs, though. Being told they amateurs, making pro money. Making businesses pro profits. They out here calling them amateurs, but they out here making pro profits. You understand what I'm saying? At one point, they couldn't earn $1 off their name. And so this is why we're looking at this from fields to fields. Because labor moved from plantations to football fields and basketball courts, but the ownership gap never closed. The ownership gap stays the same all the time. And name, image, and likeness is breaking the surface of that reality, but it ain't getting all the way down to the roots. And that's where we can't lose focus. We cannot be like, okay, take it off the top. We got to get to the root of the issue, which is in order to really get to the root of what's the problem with the name, image, and likeness? We got to get to some ownership. We got to get to some equity. We got to get to some power. We got to get to some control. We got to get to having some of our own tables. And we have to get to the place where we understand that our tables and the success our tables will bring will look different than the tables that we're looking at right now. Because our success and our table should be rooted in not only what it is that we're trying to do, but also what we're trying to do as a community, because we're a communal people. So we can't keep comparing what our table look like to what other people's tables look like. And we always feel like it ain't the goddamn same, but it ain't supposed to be the same. It's not supposed to be the same because we're building from two different places. We're building from two different places. They're building from a place of established, been here for years and years. We're building from a place that we're still trying to get some equity. We're still trying to see if we can get a seat at the table.
Get in the room.
We like them. Yeah, we like them little young kids, pulling themselves up on the table, trying to see what's up there. They've been sitting down. We can't even see what's on the table. And we got to be able to recognize that that's what we're trying to do and move like that. And we got to be able to dig in and be patient enough to fight for it and not, stand strong in it. Oh, I stand 10 toes. I'm 10 toes. We finna find out really who's 10 toes about what right now. As far as women's hoops goes. We finna find out who's really 10 toes about women's basketball right now. NIL is breaking the surface, right? But Leo, I want you to break down how the economic blueprint of slavery and sharecropping shows up in modern college sports. And while Leo's doing that, I want to ask the room, when you think about the money made in college sports, who do you believe benefits the most? And why hasn't it been the athletes doing the work? I'm going to put that in the chat. I want to know from the chat. Y'all let me know that. But Leo, break down the economic blueprint of slavery and sharecropping, how it shows up in modern college sports.
It's actually just a replica. Few different modern twists on it, because it's still the black labor producing the massive wealth. But these institutions, they keep the ownership, profits, and decision-making power. We all know that the real control comes in media rights, licensing, coach's salary, and then the institutional prestige. So everything right now, the way it's set up, stays with the school. And so it's just like sharecropping. Athletes get access. That's why most of them choose to go to if somebody say, well, go to a HBCU as opposed to going to a PWI, well, most of them, they're going to say access, better training facilities, more visibility. Even if they were offered equity in an HBCU situation, our minds are already trained, that ice is colder. And so the system wants to keep you dependent while at the same time, profiting off your body. I mean, as early as high school, I would advise, if you got, I think it's $600 or $700, go ahead and trademark your name. If you could do it in grammar school, do it. And that's an asset, and so you have to start thinking early. We cannot wait until we get to the pros to start thinking about, having some ownership. But by that time, had money made off of you, or you done got injured and you're out the game. It's a lot to it.
Own your name, own your domain. Put your website out there. You need help with that? Call Cess Talk Sports. That's one of the things that I do, especially with young people. Get your name in the algorithm early. Put your narrative out there yourself. Control your narrative. Make your place the place where they come get information about you. Control it. You can control it early as you want to. Parents, talk to me now. Hit me up. I'm serious about this. I got kids that I've done this for now. It's a real thing. Own your name. Own your domain. You look up and want to own your name and go up there, go to get your name and somebody else own it. Because they thought to go buy your name up. Now you got to negotiate to get your name back. Your name, the one you built up, the one you own, the one you earned.
Even those little quick
your blood, sweat, tears.
Like somebody came up with and one, but it wasn't the person that went in trademarked and one. And
Right.
build a corporation out. So you come up with a cool saying, don't just put it out there in space. Figure out a way to copyright it and trademark it.
Yeah.
Because down the
if you don't
line,
do nothing else, if you don't do nothing else, ghetto trademark it and mail it to yourself and don't open it up until you can figure out some money to just to be able to say that was mine and you knew it, I knew it, open it up, it's in there. And that's the date that I put it there.
Yep.
Just in case it becomes a conversation. You do something so that somebody else know and somebody else stamp is on that.
I mean, look at the guy that failed to trademark Me Bounds. He got to be kicking himself in the head, So, the bottom line is you have to have business savvy very early to work your way through this money game.
Oh, listen. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, please like and share. They both right there. This is what we're here for. These conversations is for the young people. It's for and it's for the people with these young people that are supporting them and guiding them. These are the things that we have to talk about. So on top of that, when people say NIL is freedom, what historical context, Lil, are they missing about who has controlled the wealth around Black athletic talent for generations?
They forget for more than a century, the wealth generated by Black athletes, was owned by somebody else, whether it was the school, leagues, these brands, and these media corporations. So NIL give you a taste of independence, but the power structure controls the broadcast deal, sponsorship pipeline, and narratives, shaping, it's really still the same. So without you entertaining ownership of at least your own platform, ownership, squeezing that into contracts or making sure you get an equity stake, and I am not giving you no freedom. It's just a newer version of the same gatekeeping model.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and listen, the Me Bounds guy was a CC fan that appeared on that one guy show. Yep. And I see what you're saying, Drill the Mops, about the companies, and I don't want to leave the companies out. NCAA is an institution. Each one of these schools are institutions that's making billions of dollars off of these kids, but they are doing it in partnership with companies that we know, that we love, that we frequent, that we spend money on. Some of us, what I don't think we talk enough about is that some of these companies are actually setting the I guess you would say the salary, the minimum wage in some of these sports on what you spending on some of these young people. Nike got to say they signing kids for multi-million-dollar deals. Adidas has a say. Reebok has a say. Gatorade has a say. And it's no different. It's no different than the opportunities that we have when we start to generate wealth in other industries, engineering,
music,
real estate, whatever that is. If we plan it right, it should get to a point where it starts to build generational wealth. This just gives a way for us to be able to do it a little bit more efficiently, and with a little bit more tentacles or a little bit more poles in the water at getting at the money, right? Because you got commercials, you got your job, you got all these collabs, stuff that you can do. So the opportunities are there. I feel like it's the mentality that we got to get to with our young people. It's the mentality, because we can generate generational wealth in any industry. It's all in how we come at it. But these companies and execs keep us powerless. It isn't even funny, but I support the NIL setup because it is better than before, and they lose out instead of if it doesn't work out. So here's the thing about NIL. Here's the thing about NIL, and I don't know if Brother Man Media is in the chat right now. Him and Coach Dre, we had a conversation, and one of the things that they talked about with the NIL that I don't think people realize is how much pressure it puts on the kid. Right? You sign an NIL deal for 60,000, 30,000, 50,000, whatever. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take care of the bills at the crib. In a lot of these situations. So that first NIL deal, that don't even go to the kids. That went to, whatever we was doing with the rent, if we was moving, mortgage, unfortunately, this is what happens with some of these kids. And a lot of times they seek those type of kids out to be able to give the NIL deals because they know that they're not going to be able to turn it into generational wealth. They know that they don't have the financial literacy or the support or even the, for lack of a better way to put it, the home training to be able to take that and use it as a resource. Instead, it becomes a crutch. So then you get these kids, they done spent up the NIL money. We done made more bills than we had even before because we thought we was rich with this 100,000. And now I got to find another school to go to get another 100,000 to pay off the debt that I got that I shouldn't even got. And a lot of these kids is in debt before they even get out of school. We need more of these kids moving like the Flaujays, the Angels, the Gamecock young ladies, where you got a 401k coming out of school. You got 20 acres, you got 40 acres and a mule coming out of school. You got residential developments that you got coming out of school. Cause see, that's how you get to the real freedom. That's the real freedom. What did you put your name on? It's nice to get that check, but that check they giving you, as long as it got their name at the bottom of it, they ain't freed you from shit. Until you signing your name at the bottom of a check, that's when you got some freedom. That's when you got some freedom. Long as you waiting on a check with somebody else's signature on it, you ain't free. You waiting on somebody else. So until you take that money that they got and go put it in and say, okay, now this making some money for me. It comes directly to me. It ain't, don't nobody got to direct deposit this to me, but where I'm getting it from. If your check still got somebody else's name at the bottom, you ain't free. If you don't get to come to none of the meetings, there go Rodman Man Media right there. Just popped in. We talked about it. These kids end up in debt. These kids end up chasing NIL money instead of building in their craft and getting and developing and growing so that they can be real pro players. Most of these kids ain't even gonna go pro. So this is the opportunity for you to make sure that you leave college without no debt. Make sure you leave college with a degree. Make sure you leave college with a network. Make sure that you leave college with all of the resources that you can get from it. Play the sport. Get the money. Double it up. What did Dawn say? Compound it. Get your financial literacy. Look at what Dawn just did in the coach that she just hired. And I know I'm getting a little bit off. I know I'm getting a little off.
No, go roll with it.
I want to talk about this because if you look at what Dawn just did, and we talked about this a little bit last night. So Dawn went and hired the coach that was at South Carolina right before her. This is also the woman who, with Michelle Marciniak, if you know that name, started a company called Sheets. Really cool sheets. I got some. Love them. Check it out. Okay. They got pajamas and everything. But what this lady brings directly back into the school is an opportunity to what? She knows marketing. She's running a Fortune 500 company. She's bringing financial literacy, right? She's bringing financial literacy right back into the school. She's bringing a network right back into the school. She's bringing opportunities right back into South Carolina for these young ladies to be able to grow from. Nobody should leave college with there's not one student athlete that should leave college with any debt anymore. For what? For what? And they're starting to pay kids in high school. But see, the other part of that is the generation that's supposed to be guiding these kids. We got to keep our heads. How the hell you didn't retire? You didn't quit your job and your kid's still in high school. They ain't made it yet. They ain't made it yet. What did you quit your job for? You ain't got to go to not one practice. Oh, it'd be nice for you to get to some games. But you may not be able to see all of the games. And see, that go back to people trying to do winner stuff before they winners.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to retire before they make it. They make it and then they retire you. If we look at the people that have been successful, Angel, her mama wasn't retired before Angel just now cashed out on the house.
Mm-hmm.
Just now retired her this year. We got to make sure that we showing up in them meetings. That they got the financial literacy, we got the financial literacy, and we got the teams around them that can help read these contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still own you when you leave here? How much of you did you leave on that contract? Do you know? Did you even care? Because you was hurrying up trying to hear the click on the goddamn contract. And that's the part of the NIL. That's the trap. That's short money.
Mm-hmm.
That's only a 10th, a 100th of what you're actually worth if you see this thing all the way through. If you come in with a strategy. For the first time you get your first NIL deal, what you doing with it? Mm-hmm. Yes, you gonna blow some. Yes, you gonna blow some of it. All of us will. What? You gonna blow some of it? I get that. But what is the percentage of it that you gonna blow? Is it 2%? Is it 3%? How much of it are you investing? How much of it are you putting back into your craft? How much of it are you putting into your team?
And are you paying your taxes? That's another thing gonna get people.
Are you paying your taxes? But the crazy part though, KT, is that they ain't even got no money. They running around here and what they got, rich people wouldn't even call money. No, I take that back. They got rich people money, not wealth. And that's the focus. The focus needs to be on the goddamn wealth.
Yeah, we've been had riches.
Listen, Juju setup is so cold. Listen, anytime you say, hey, I'm getting ready to do something, I'm gonna partner with Nerd Wallet. Every deal I got gonna go through the Nerd Wallet. We're gonna see what the Nerd Wallet got to say about every deal that I'm gonna talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Raven, Ash, TT, winners, Asia went and played overseas overseas 1 year, maybe 1 year, maybe 2. Asia ain't had to go back overseas in a long time. Asia ain't been worried about nothing too much, has she? What you doing with your money? And Asia wasn't in the NIL era. Are you investing back in you? Are you investing back into your community? Guns and butter. Y'all, if you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Are you buying things that appreciate in value? Do you know what appreciate means? You done bought that car. As soon as you pull off the lot, it ain't worth what it was when you paid for it. Now what? People laughed at what's that man's name? Ocho Cinco. Man, lease a car, buy fake jewelry. He didn't need none of that. The fact that I am rich make you believe that what I got on is real. I don't know if you just got to go that far, but all them big earrings and all that for what? The way they pulling up on people and robbing them anyway, for what?
Yeah.
Man, I'll go back to Claire's tomorrow and get a new pair of 5 carats. Just costume jewelry, like does that matter? And it's okay to have those things. But what we got to do, what we have to do as a community, and what we have to make sure that we doing in our households, and the lessons that we got to make sure that we giving is making sure that before we do all of those things, how we check these other boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get to the professional era, because the struggle for ownership, it don't stop at the college level. Once our athletes break into the pros, the talent go up, the money go up, the ownership still stay locked behind the doors. Yeah, fake jewelry, not fake alone. Can't have a fake smell. Can't have a cheap. Yeah, I hear you. You don't. It's only some things that you can go knock off on, Officer T. Davis. I hear you. Some things it's got to be the real deal. I respect that. Folks, the shoe empire. In the beginning, he didn't own Nike. He was endorsing a brand that built billions off his name. but but before he ever touched equity. LeBron was able to take that and flip it because Michael did what he did. Mm-hmm. So you gotta have somebody come through the door first. LeBron was able to say, okay, I don't want that, because before Michael, the deal was, oh, y'all get the same shoe at Converse. Remember the weapons? Larry had a pair. Magic had a pair. Somebody else, I would say Dominique might have had a pair. No, Dominique, I don't think Dominique was Converse, but you get my point. So you want to see people keep building and improving on the blueprints. Michael took Magic's blueprint. LeBron took Michael's blueprint. Shaq got a hell of a blueprint that don't nobody even really want to talk about. But Shaq's blueprint is beautiful. Check him out. But instead of just endorsing products, he took shares. Beats by Dre, Blaze Pizza, Spring Hill. That's what LeBron did. Shaq too. Shaq got a piece of ownership in everything that he liked. I love that. Everything that he liked, he bought some ownership in. I like that. Let me get some ownership in that. So I'm making some money off of it when I'm spending some money on it. When you look at this new generation, Angel Reese aligning with Reebok under Shaq, Serena investing through Serena Ventures. They're not athletes anymore. You look at Together. You look at Together. You look at Simone Manuel. You look at Angel owning platforms, owning media outlets. Mm-hmm. These are architects. They studying what the system denied us, and they building the path themselves. And then they're building out platforms where they can amplify it. I never leave out AI. AI is a totally different and not artificial intelligence. Allen Iverson is a totally different conversation that they don't want to have, because Allen Iverson is probably one of the most influential men in pro basketball, because he changed NBA basketball just as much as Michael Jordan, but they don't like to talk about Allen like that because he don't have no chips. But if you go back and look, he played a lot of Allen is real special to me, so it ain't. I don't never leave him out. It ain't. It's something different with me and him. We can't say ownership without mentioning our own history. So the Negro Leagues were black owned, black run, black built. Once integration came, individual players got invited in. The collective black ownership got destroyed. That was the pattern then, and that's the blueprint they still use right now. Mm-hmm. Y'all doing good all over there as a group? Offer a couple of them a job to see if the whole thing don't crumble.
That's what may happen in the WNBA. You better believe it's gonna be some side shoes. You know, when they try to stand 10 toes down, that's exactly what they're gonna try to do: divide and conquer.
So, Leo, can you break down the real difference between endorsements, sponsorships, brand ambassadorships, and equity, so folks understand how each one works and what they actually offer the athlete?
Yeah, endorsements and sponsorship, them the short-term checks. You know, you promote the product, but they own the campaign. So when you become a brand ambassador, you know, that goes like a little deeper, often tying the athlete to the brand's identity, like the ambassadorship that Angel Reese just got with the Victoria's Secrets. That's an ambassadorship deal. But the brand still holds the ownership. So equity is the only lane where the athlete becomes a co-owner. I mean, you're sharing the profits, the decision-making, and long-term value. So everything else is kind of marketing, if you will, but equity is power. And that's where you start owning pieces of, you know.
So how do these athletes
trying to get to?
Okay, and now thank you for breaking that down. How do these athletes use those early sponsorships, endorsements, ambassadorships as the stepping stones towards the ownership instead of the stopping points? See, what does that real strategy look like?
Well, the move is to use early deals to build leverage, you know, to grow your audience, prove your impact. We see the strategy, Angel Reese is doing it the best. And then you negotiate for equity or revenue shares instead of just cash. You know, athletes have to treat their name, image, and likeness like a business pipeline. Yeah, you can start with visibility, but you want to turn it into bargaining power, and then you want to turn that power into ownership stakes, joint ventures. My favorite thing, joint ventures. or build, build your own brand. That's a pretty simple strategy, but you don't have to stay, in the promoter lane or I'm the marketing person lane. Your goal is to become a partner, and your deals should be structured to move in that direction. Like the Angel Reese deal she has with Reese's, it's allows her to sell their gear. But I expect that relationship to evolve into her having a little more equity stake, maybe in they'll make a special candy for her or something like that. So I'm expecting some of the deals I see that she has to, kind of evolve, into the point where she has some kind of equity in the company. I mean, you think about the 50 Cent deal. His mentor told him, don't take all the cash up front they offering you. Tell them you want some equity. That turned into $100 million as soon as, the Vital Water, I think was the name of the company. Coca-Cola came along, they bought it for $1 billion. He was able to walk away with $100 million, although he only got I think 100,000 up front initially. But that equity stake, and not to say that'll happen, everybody brand ain't gonna become $1 billion brand, but at least have some skin in the game in that regards, or advise anybody that to try to get some skin in the game, where you can, especially if it's a kind of young and upcoming company, because you never know when one of those may explode, make you very well.
Man. Vital Water messed up too, because they bought 50s. They bought the 50. That was the grape flavor, and then took it off the shelf. Man, bring the 50 water back. That was the best tasting vitamin water. Was the grape one? Man, I was so disappointed. But I'm happy for 50. Yeah, that was a hell of a deal he got. Or you think about like E40. He was one of the first in rap to take the distribution deal. He took the 300. I think it was a $300,000 distribution deal from Jive Records instead of signing with a label. He took the distribution and did everything else. That was unheard of at the time that he did that. But that's moving towards an ownership strategy, right? And then you take that money and invest it back into some other stuff that you own, that you signing the checks on now. And then once you start building, then they come wanting to partner with you. What can we do? Now we want to collab. Now we want a joint venture. Now we want to see how we can work with you. We want both our names to have to be on the check. See, that's what you want to do. That's what you work on. That's what you want to work to. If you're gonna work with anybody, that it take your name and it take your signature and their signature to make the check move, to make the money move. If you doing something and it don't take your name to move the money, you're not on it. You're not on it. People don't like Floyd Mayweather, and I don't know what Floyd's bank account looks like. But that's somebody that just bet on themselves.
Yeah.
And bet on themselves and bet on themselves and bet on, I mean, literally and figuratively, bet on themselves. I'm not signing with nobody. I'm doing it. I'm fighting the fights I want to fight.
I promote myself.
I'm promoting myself. I'm doing my own walk-ins. I'm doing my own songs. I'm doing my own every damn thing. And I'm keeping it in my family how I want. Yeah, he did distribution instead of advance. You don't do that unless you believe in yourself. You better believe that. You got to believe in yourself. Take that type of deal. Reese already killing with equity in McDonald's. But those are the type of things, and those are the type of conversations that we have to have. So this is, and this next part is kind of where everything kind of shifts, because we talking athletes, and this is men and women fighting for equity at the ownership level, not endorsement deals. This is where the power start being symbolic, and it gets structural right here. When you look at Asia shaping Nike campaigns, and not just Nike campaigns, Nike deals, right? Shaping Nike deals. Nike deals that affect universities. She probably gonna have some PE. She's probably gonna be able to sign some players to her shoe, I believe. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this goes. Nafisa Collier, Unrivaled, Shaq, Allen Iverson, building franchises, Reebok, Serena Williams, venture capital, LeBron, media companies, equity partnerships, athletes stepping into authorship, not just promotion, building the systems, not just performing. And so this is why the WNBA Players Association is pushing so hard in the CBA in the negotiations, because it's not just the higher salaries, it's equity in the league itself. That mirrors what the NBA players secured with their BRI deal. So that built-in ownership share of the league's revenue is that's not a bonus. That's economic stake in the institution that their labor sustains. Okay. And so for WNBA players, equity will mean wealth, leverage, long-term financial security beyond the paycheck. It's the difference between participating in the league and owning a part of
it. Exactly.
Can you break down what equity looks like, Lil, in a sports league, how it works in the NBA, and why these players are fighting to secure the same kind of ownership stake through the CBA fight that they're in?
Oh yeah, sure. Listen, watch how the NBA is coming with this. They broke out news. Oh, 1.1 million. I guess everybody's supposed to roll over dead. That's a salary increase. That's not an equity share. And then they talking about, well, it's some revenue sharing. No, I don't want you. I've been some revenue sharing. We've been sharing the same 3 revenues at a 3% cap for the last 30 years. So like in the NBA, the players share revenue directly with the league. They get a guaranteed percentage of the money they help generate. That's equity in practice. And when the league grows, players' pockets grow automatically. The WNBA, they want that same structure, not just a salary bump or some bonuses, or we're gonna let you be out for your pregnancy 6 more weeks. That's not what they want. They want a real slice of those media deals, sponsorship revenue, and league profits, because they're the one driving the W surge in value, and they are deserving of it. And so and I'm of the belief that it's illegal for you to give, because they producing the same product, both, not in the same way, but it's the same product. It's a basketball product. They producing basketball entertainment. And so the law says that, you can't give something to the men you're not willing to give to the women. And, so you have to be careful that, the league will try to throw in there, well, you're not playing as many games, or you're not generating as much money, but I'm generating some money. And that's what I want to be paid for. When you have an equity stake, you have that ownership, just like you have equity in your home. And so when that league grows, your wealth grows. And so that's the big thing they fighting for. And I just hope and pray that these young ladies, be willing to stick it out. I know it's gonna be hard for some, not too hard for others, but you got to stick it out. Can't keep getting milked.
But for the WNBA women specifically, Leo, what would equity actually mean for financial future, collective power? Why is winning this labor battle essential for the next generation of women athletes?
Oh, it's crucial, because you talking, they trying to stick you into a long-term decade deal. You don't want, equity would give the players long-term financial stability. And the money isn't tied to an annual salary cap or owner generosity. It would turn their labor into generational wealth and not seasonal income. So collectively, it would give the women players, they would have real leverage over scheduling, expansion, and working conditions. They'd be able to look at the books, to see what kind of money is coming in. They'd be able to have somebody sitting down while they doing these, because the TV deals need to be renegotiated. So winning this fight, it's just not about today's star. It sets an economic foundation so that future women athletes don't have to choose between passion and survival. And in all fairness, they gonna have to stick to their guns, because capitalists just don't give in. They don't. They gonna only give you what they what they think is going to keep the profit and the control on their side of the house. And if they have to go to court, just like the Women's Soccer League did under the Equal Pay Act, I feel that they should go all the way, and they should let them know, look, it's going to be all hands on the gavel, because you don't want the next generation of ladies to come up and have to suffer through some of the losses that you see happening in these pioneers. And I just want to, want you all to know that I'm hoping they add reparations to the package, because these early pioneers that was, hanging out on the billboards and going around doing all these promotions, not getting no residuals or, no type of extra money, they need to be repaid. You got some women out here in bad shape and having to work, second job. Some of them don't have insurance and stuff like that paid and help grow that league. And that all needs to be corrected. But go ahead on, Cess.
Those are all good points. Those are all good points. The WNBA and NBA be foundationally the same. Owners just scared to lose power by rewarding WNBA's exponential growth equally. Luckily, foreign leagues gonna help most eat while they fight. We're gonna find out. I think that there's a way for everybody to eat. I'm not understanding. I'm just not understanding their unwillingness to let everybody eat.
Yeah.
But that's greed, and I think it's a little bit more. I feel like the WNBA supplements the NBA in some ways that I don't think that people are honest about. But there's that. They need to pay the pioneers who they parade around for promotion. They don't parade them around enough for promotion. They got walking legends around this game that they don't promote, and then
they ain't using them at all.
97. They'll show the same commercial 97 times in a row, and that's not a knock on Ruthie Bolton, but it was some other commercials that we could have seen besides Ruthie. I love Ruthie, but there was Teresa Edwards and Katrina McClain and Sadia Roundtree and Tisha Pinachero, Yolanda Griffith. There's a lot of names of players that we could be still talking about. When athletes sit down and read the fine print and sign, make sure it's worth their value and more, they are the ones bringing the fan base, reason why people watch. And this other thing too, we the last time we were at the table, which was 2020, I think, we went to the table in good faith, and we let them leave the table with TBDs in the contract. Ain't no way in the hell y'all supposed to get up without every I dotted, every T crossed. If it's a TBD, then you waiting on me. Figure out the answer. Ain't nothing to be determined. Determine it right now. Define it so everybody is clear. And not only do you define it, also define how it's going to be reported. See, the transparency part of what this thing looked like wasn't there. So we're going to define, if it's a percentage, then we're going to define what the percentage is. Not to be determined, not penciled in later, not written in pencil. Put it in the contract. Initial next to it. Y'all to sign your names before. We're going to sign and we're going to initial certain parts so we know for sure you read that one. So whatever that transparency is, if the report is due, if it's a quarterly report on the 15th of the fourth, every fourth month, delivery. I mean, I'm sorry, on every third month, deliver that thing. Whatever that is, make sure that you define it. Make sure that you know what day the books is open and what time. What day is the books open and what time? Or if everybody gonna get a passcode so you can see what's going on in the books. I don't understand what's so secretive. But we need to count on everything. You're not gonna sell another jersey with my name on it and not give me something off of that. How dare you? Because they're not here to see you, Otis. They not. They not. Most people couldn't even tell you who the damn owners is. Some of them can't even tell you who the coach is, the assistant coach. You understand? I think the foreign leagues deserve a huge nod for being a support structure to the best league in the world. They really helped, in my view, especially back then. Did they? Did they? I mean, it was nice. It was good to be able to go over there and make some money. But when you listen to the stories that them women tell, being watched, not feeling safe. Maybe the check hit, maybe it don't. It's hit or miss depending on what team you on. The stories that they tell and the reasoning that they wanted so much to be able to get back home. Yeah, I mean, listen, appreciate it. And some people made some livings, but what they gave up to be able to make those livings is crazy. Right? So, yeah, they're it kept basketball alive when it wasn't here. But I ain't just like yay on the foreign leagues like that either. Yeah, y'all tell me, if the players are the ones generating the product, the culture, the revenue, why shouldn't they also own part of the league they keep them alive? It just seemed like it makes sense. Y'all tell me in the chat. But we need to talk about one of the slickest tricks in modern sports. The way the system uses that visibility to gaslight the athletes into thinking they got real power. They be around here feeling like they got power. Walk around here like they shut something down and they walk in the building. Ain't doing nothing. In college, NIL opened the door for athletes to profit. I can't deny that, right? But the institutions quickly learned how to weaponize that freedom. They started pushing exposure over education, likes over literacy, platforms over real ownership. Yeah, Drew. I get what you're saying. It was an opportunity. It wasn't the best deal, but it was an opportunity. So I respect them for that. Young athletes get deals, followers, and flashy moments. But if you ain't really got a roadmap, they being guided into visibility without equity, and that's intentional. That's being done intentional. What's happening at the college level is the exact same playbook. NBA owners trying to run on the WNBA. I think, listen, they offer a visibility perks, marketing boosts, branding packages. We'll make you more visible, but we won't make you no partner. It's the sharecropper model wrapped in a modern package. You know what? You gonna look like you own the land. When people drive by, you're gonna be out here tending it, just a working and everything, waiting. You look like you own something out here, just a working on the land. You hear me? But when it get down to go down to the bank to get the money about working on the land, don't you show up. Don't you bring your ass down there to that bank. Now I'm gonna bring you back what you got coming. Don't you ask no questions. That's it. Here. Go on now. Go on. Yeah. Go on now. Yeah. You understand me? Yeah. Go on. No, we ain't going for that shit now. You can't go for that no more. That's the trap. If the women accept the exposure instead of the equity, they're gonna repeat the same damn history. They rob past generations of ownership. These athletes are building the culture, they carrying the product, and power the league's growth. So without the equity stake, they're gonna just be employees. And the real wealth is going to continue to accumulate upstairs. So this is not just a negotiation. This is a generational fork in the road right now. This is a generational fork in the road. Can you break down how visibility is being used as a substitute for power in NIL for college athletes and in WNBA negotiations? Because why that's a dangerous exchange.
You know what? Visibility feels like power, but it's just promotion. So for the NIL athletes, they get attention and followers, but it be the schools, the brands, and the platforms still controlling the money, the data, and the long-term value. Now in the WNBA, the league highlights the stars on social media, at least some of them, and TV, but visibility doesn't translate into revenue share or decision making. So it's dangerous because it tricks athletes into thinking they're empowered while the system keeps all of the structural control. So, with the fight in the WNBA, should be nailed too. They need some kind of control. These men have some kind of control. They control at least half, and it stays between 49 and 51%. It might go down to 49 if they didn't have, make quite 20 billion that year. But the next year, if they have a windfall, boom, they getting that 51%. I just, for the life of me, can't understand why psychologically they feel so threatened, by giving the women the same deal. I don't know. It just sounds crazy. Sound like too many egos in the room or something.
Really too many egos in the room. It's a lot of things. I was finna say something else about what's going on in the room, but I want to stay right here for a second though, because when the NBA owners offer that marketing boost instead of the equity stake tied to revenue, what does that really tell us about how they view the women players? And why is that critical that WNBA players don't settle for that type of CBA?
You know what? It shows they see these women players as marketable, but not business partners. And I don't know if that's because, you know, they're women or predominantly black women or predominantly women of color. You know, I don't know what that is psychologically, but marketing, you know, that boost helps the league image, but it don't help the player's bank account. So the WNBA accepts that. They lock themselves into being influencers instead of stakeholders. So rejecting that model is essential because the future of the W isn't in being promoted. It's in owning a share of the value that you create. You want to walk out of that. These men are able, if they roll their money right, most of them are able to, you know, I'm talking about your top superstars, they give you $180, $300 million. You're able to walk out of that with generational wealth. You know, you're not going to walk out of any situation where you're an employee with any measurable wealth that you can pass down to your child. You're going to have just enough to keep your head above water. And these days you don't even get a pension. So most you get from a company as a 401, they've been feeing you out of that. You know, so it's very important. I think these ladies realize that. I think they realize it. And you know, but you have some people that just continue to, you know, work on paying you for food, because when they put out that $1.1 million, I was like, 1.1 million? No. Let me hear 5 million and then, you know, going up from there, not down. You know. So that they gotta stick it out. They gotta stick it out. You gotta ask for a share because you're just generating too much wealth. You know, and it's obvious.
That's wild. Yeah. And it's more than obvious. Why do y'all think the men in the NBA are equity partners in their own league, while the women are being asked to stay employees under a sharecropping style model? What do y'all think happens if WNBA players don't hold out and demand ownership before another restrictive CBA locks in? I don't know. Could you see this league crumble? I don't know. If we talking about building generational wealth, though, right? And we talking about doing it through name, image, likeness, then we have to talk about most folks don't even realize it's happening. The WNBA been using the players' names, images, and likenesses in league-wide licensing agreements without paying them royalties. They just been losing name and face, they ain't been give name, everything. So jerseys, merch, marketing campaigns, video games, branded products, all of that uses these players' NIL. But the check don't go to the women who built the brand. It don't even go to the people who face it is.
Not at all.
NBA players, the men, they do get paid for they name, image, likeness through shared licensing revenue. That the men's union already secured that cut years ago. That's the equity we talking about. That's the ownership in action, and that's the exact same mold or model that the WNBA players are fighting for in the CBA right now. But they shouldn't even be fighting for it, because the NBA, you see it working in this league over here. You doing it on the left, why wouldn't you do it on the right? That shit's crazy as hell.
And you ain't losing no money, evidently.
That's just greedy, just crazy greed to me. Break down what it means that the WNBA uses players' NIL and licensing deals without paying royalties, while the NBA plays the men. How does that expose the deeper equity gap that these women are fighting against?
You know, it just shows that women aren't treated as revenue partners, and that's what they're fighting for. You know, they treated like some unpaid marketing asset. The league profiting off their name on jerseys, video game, all kind of other merch. You know, but the players don't share in the earnings. They don't even share in game day revenues. And I know ain't nobody pulling up to see the owner. You know, And that's the core equity gap. See, the W drives the value, but the owners capture the money. You know, I don't know if it's an additional slush fund, but to me, it's just greed. You know, and the fight ain't about just salaries, because if you give me the percentage due, then, you know, I'll have a salary. And it's about ending a system where women generate profit without participation in the profit. And that's why the Women's Congressional Caucus is involved. They're probably going to wind up being some congressional hearings, just like it was with the Women's Soccer League. You know, not only were they out here making less money, they was bringing in more of a crowd. still the men were being paid more. So this has turned into a political issue, and it will probably be settled in the courts, you know, because these men seem to think because they in, you know, this white grievance political climate, you know, that they just gonna be able to, you know, run over these women. I don't think that's gonna happen. You know, I do believe that they're gonna eke out a deal and try to avoid going to court, because I don't believe they want to go to court and open them books. We might have some jaw drops and find out they've been stashing all their bad assets on the women all the time. You know, so yeah, you don't want to be in an have an employee model, you know, with your pro league when you got that kind of unique talent. You know, you want to be able to, you know, negotiate making money, you know, that's gonna give you a nice life.
Absolutely. And I know we didn't go over time a little bit here, but we're gonna be wrapping it up soon. But a couple more things that I want to make sure that we cover. Because anytime athletes, especially black athletes, start talking about ownership, institutions start tightening up. And we see that resistance everywhere, from NIL landscape in college, WNBA fight for equity. The moment they start talking about some royalties, revenue shares, voting power, control over their own NIL, any of that, that's when the system start pushing back, right? Because empowered athletes disrupt the hierarchy that keeps money and the decision making locked at the top, keep the money flowing the way they want it to go. Look at the reactions we already seen. College program called NIL distraction. Agents push athletes towards quick cash instead of long-term equity. 47 got in here, want to know what's going on with the NIL, how much they making when they get it, how it hit, when it's coming in, everything.
Now they got the loot
shift. Yeah. Media's narrative shift, painting black women who demand ownership difficult, greedy, ungrateful, praising the men, white athletes doing the exact same thing as innovators. In the WNBA, especially, the moment these players demand an equity stake, like the NBA men, league brass start floating alternatives, give visibility instead of ownership, perks instead of power, marketing instead of money. My man comes out and he got, wait a minute, Adam. We didn't even know that you was really involved with the WNBA like that. WNBA like that. He got beside himself and forgot that he was supposed to be silent. We're not going to be giving him this. Well, wait a minute. Who knew that you was going to be in the room? You ain't even supposed to be there. See, now you ain't sticking to the script. That pushback's not random. That's not random. It's structural. Institutions fear athlete empowerment because when athletes understand the value, then the business model got to change. That's when the business model got to change. Ownership replaces the obedience. Equity replaces exposure. And see, suddenly the people who built the product become the people who control it. That's what the WNBA players is fighting about, and that's why the resistance is so loud. That's why it's loud. The product, the WNBA, NBA is foundationally the same, genders aside, but the business model structure is not the same. Plus, the NBA has years ahead in some key aspects. The WNBA will still end up there too. Here's the thing: they don't have to end up there too. Here's the thing. I'm so glad that you said this. I'm so glad you said this. I'm gonna spend a second right here. Here's the thing: the NBA has years ahead in some key aspects. And then they foundationally the same, genders aside, and run by the same people. Now, here's the thing. If it took me years to figure out that I don't need a 60-watt light bulb right here, I need a 120-watt light bulb for this thing to work, why in the hell would I wait 10 years to put the 120-watt light bulb in over here where I'm opening up next? See, that's the beauty. See, that's the beauty of economies of scale. That's the beauty of being able to say, what worked, what didn't work. That's the beauty of going back and saying, hey, how did we win here, and how did we lose? There's no reason for us to have to wait. The product is essentially the same.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason for me to keep messing up the recipe if I already perfected the recipe. The reason that I'm supposed to launch this one over here is because I perfected what it has to look like. But see, what everybody missed is that they're not foundationally the same, genders aside. Those locker rooms are very different. What those women and what those players want and what they value is very different. Where the women messed up is they never should have tied themselves to the NBA anyway. They should have stayed a women's basketball league so that they could keep their focus. They could keep their money. They could keep their salaries. They could keep building in the areas that they wanted to build. It's still very grassroots. It's still very communal. It's still very much a sisterhood. The NBA is not that. They're not a brotherhood over there. They don't give a damn about each other. They don't rally around each other. That's not who they are. But the WNBA, on the flip side, in their very nature, that's how they move.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that they would just tell the NBA, you can have your damn name. Cut ties and get the hell away from them. How much do you want? Is it 50 million? Cash them out and get them out your business. Big Drip been saying it for years. You don't need a TV deal with them. Let's start our own damn channel.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll understand what the worth is. Because if they'll pay to see you on NBC, they'll pay to see you on your TV.
See me on TV.
Yeah, they're gonna see what channel you on. I'm on my TV, your TV, whatever one you want to call it. But I'm gonna get all the money. Globally, black ownership is something many companies attempt to prevent. Not sure why they trying hard to do this. Oh, you know why. You know why. Because when we own shit, we do shit different.
Mm-hmm.
When we in charge, we do shit different. IEC Barack. It's cooler. It's easier.
More swag.
It's smoother. It's more swag to it. It's funner. It's lighter. You know what I mean? It's that. That's why. That's all. The ability to not to have to showcase black excellence.
Exactly.
That's it. It's important. It's important, and that all of and it may not be as important to other races culturally. That's fine, but for us, it's important that we see us being successful, and that's okay if that's not important for others. It's important for us, and so we need to make sure that we keep doing that for each other and for the generations coming behind us. See, the thing is, when we look at, well, I mean, yeah, the owners will delay some stuff, but walk away from it. You don't have to be owned.
Yeah.
You can take your ball and go play someplace else. There's a lot of places you can go. Project B is out there. Upshot is coming. Unrivaled is out there. There are other models. The WNBA is I guess is like is the upper echelon, is the top of the food chain as far as women's basketball, because we all agree that it is, because we all look at it like it is. If we used to be like, the WNBA championship don't mean nothing, we value Unrivaled more, then it would cease to exist. It wouldn't matter. The WNBA has the power that it has because the fans give it that.
Mm-hmm.
Without fans buying the product, none of that shit that they talk about means anything.
Exactly. That's a good point. It don't
mean nothing. It don't mean nothing. Think about it. Think about it. Think about when people do we boycotting them, or when something ain't cool no more. Man, how many of y'all went and got a fidget spinner? I was so sick of fidget spinners. They were just fidget spinning. What's that? Fidget spinner. Minute we didn't care about the fidget spinner no more. When the last time you got one? When the last time you seen one? When the last time you thought about one? See, we forget our own power in this and just let people shove shit down our throat. The minute we decided that ain't what we really want no more, stop spending our money on it, that ain't what they put on the TV no more.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Lil, break down why the institutions, NCAA and all the way to the WNBA, why they react with so much resistance when athletes start asking about ownership instead of just the visibility.
They just protecting the power structure. You know, see, visibility don't cost these institutions nothing, but ownership threatens their entire economic model and the things the system wants to keep locked inside corporate and institutional hands is the access to the revenue, decision making, and the long term profit. So the resistance is really about maintaining control over the money pipeline. That's it. That's all. When it all comes down to it, and keeping these athletes in a role where they're, you know, they don't have any power. I mean, you know, these women have been operating since 2020 and have never seen the books. You know, they don't know how much money that league has made. They, you know, they don't have no kind of access. They couldn't, you know, they telling them you haven't made the key growth indicators. How I know? I ain't never seen the books. You know, and I'm supposed to believe you, you know, cause you somebody white in a suit. I mean, come on now. You know,
Help me
these
understand.
ladies could see that all around that they making money and not getting none of it.
Help me understand how the NBA helps market the WNBA. How the NBA makes the WNBA more marketable. When every time I ask somebody about the NBA, they tell me that product is trash and it ain't what it used to be, and they ain't even watching it no more. Tell me how. It doesn't make the best business sense to me, and it doesn't offset costs or increase marketability on both sides. And the reason I say that is because it doesn't make sense to put a whole bunch of WNBA teams in NBA arenas that they can't fill. The NBA, the WNBA would be better served partnering with arenas that they could fill on a regular basis. So not 12, 20,000, whatever that is, somewhere between 5 to 10, depending on the market that they in. WNBA teams don't even necessarily need to be playing in the same cities that NBA teams are playing. Why? Because they end up having to fight with too many other things that's going on in them cities. They should be playing in cities that love women's basketball, that have arenas that they could play in the offseason that they not. I would have built that league in cities that had a lot of college following because they're not really using those arenas in the offseason when the WNBA is playing. You didn't necessarily need the NBA to do shit. You know how I know? Because Unrivaled didn't. You know how I know? Upshot didn't. You know how I know? AU didn't. So you didn't need the NBA. The NBA, people packaged it like, oh, it just makes sense. It just makes sense. And then you partnered these women with a whole bunch of white male-dominated owned teams that didn't even give a damn about these women as athletes. Didn't even take them serious as athletes.
Won't invest in them.
It was,
you know,
don't invest back in them. I've been sitting around here saying I'd rather have an NFL owner. Look at Mark. Look at Mark Davis. He don't even look like he give a damn if the Raiders ever win again because he is king of goddamn Las Vegas with the ace. So I don't think that they needed the NBA. I don't think it made the most sense. I think these women should have took a risk on their own damn self and get the hell away from the NBA as quick as y'all can.
Yep.
The NBA product is going down. Women's basketball is going up. Hey, cut. Hey, cut the dead weight, honey. We don't need them. Here's the thing. Project B doesn't have anything to do with the WNBA. Project B can have all the legitimacy that it wants. Project B doesn't interfere with the WNBA season at all. Project B actually runs in the off season of the WNBA. So if these ladies are smart, they're gonna go get however many million the Dub is gonna offer, and they're gonna go get however many million Project B is gonna offer. The people that should be concerned about Project B would be the Unrivals, the Upshots, the AUs, those little leagues that are trying to come up and play in this WNBA offseason. Because Project B hit the block like we here with 2 million. What you want to do? So I don't think so. Only thing that really matters is the power to be. Saying the theory is supposed to work in that way on paper, but it doesn't. They should have never wrote that theory down. The theory was flawed when they put it on the paper. What I'm saying, Drill, they should have never. But they wrote that down. They should have went and erased that. That'll never work. That'll never work, because I don't believe that men and women go into business with the same perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
Money making, yes, is the goal. How they get to it and the things that are important along the way, different. If the NBA was out of the way, they would have been had a more support around when the women get pregnant. I think they'd have been had more support around what are the resources that are available to these women.
Mm-hmm.
But you got a bunch of men and people who have been dealing with running a league that is powered by men. So you think about how you take care of men versus thinking about how you would take care of women. And so when you are trying to run a league where you're addressing men's needs on a daily basis and then try to slap that stamp on a league that's full of women, the shit doesn't work. The needs are different. The desires are different. But they ain't thinking about that shit. We gonna get ready to get out of here. Everything we talked about tonight means nothing without action. NIL, tool. Ownership, strategy. Equity is a demand. For these ideas to take root, though, athletes, parents, entire communities, we got to shift how we think about sports, about money, about power, about control. For these young athletes, the message has to be simple. Stop thinking like a product and start thinking like a portfolio. Your name, your image, your story, your influence are assets that you got to protect, trademark, negotiate, strategically deploy. But parents, this is the moment to build a support team around these athletes. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. Get a lawyer that's gonna read every line. Get a financial advisor who's gonna protect every dollar. Mentors who understand the value behind viral clips. Community, we gotta fight too. We gotta support Black-owned brands. Demand NIL education in schools. Push the policy that protect athletes' rights. Stand with the women of the WNBA as they negotiate this equity. It's not about sports. It's about rewriting the financial ecosystem that has historically used Black talent while denying Black ownership. If athletes is going to win this time, everybody connected to them has to move with intention. Lil, break down what families and communities should be doing right now to help athletes protect their NIL, their brand, and their long-term wealth.
Already before NIL really got off the ground, as it was coming into a possibility, you should have had organizations like the Urban League already ready to put plans in place, and educate these parents. They should have been already talking to school systems, about having a sports education program for these athletes, before they got going. So now, just like Malcolm X called for a re-education politically back in the 60s, we need to have an economic re-education in our community. We have to learn about finance and what finance does, how to do your dollars. I mean, everything you could think about in terms of learning to be an investor, learning about how to ask for equity in these deals. Some of these people are running into these people young, and then they looking for parents or looking for a parent, mainly a Black woman, head in a household. And these are the athletes they're targeting for exploitation. We got to stop that. We could use churches. It's a whole lot of apparatuses that we need to use. We need to have a national call out, because this is a big economic pie at stake. We haven't been able historically to participate in the economy in every sector, but we in the sports sector, and we need to take true advantage of it and seek equity, not just a good old paycheck and a good old job.
Drill the mops. How long you been watching WNBA hoops? How long you been watching WNBA hoops? Please let me know. That's a real question. I want to know before I address your comments in my chat right now. I want to make sure I address them from the proper perspective. So how long have you been watching WNBA basketball? That's a real question. Because I seen you say Project B will never be seen as the best product. That is the legitimacy I meant. Okay. And then I seen B Will say never. And then you say ownership is deliberately keeping the obsolete business structure on the WNBA. And then you say the WNBA has to implode politically and otherwise for that to happen. How long you been watching? How long you been watching WNBA? Because if you don't know that the WNBA could be imploding right now in our face, you're not paying attention to what's going on. So this is why I'm asking, how long have you been watching? This thing started with the ABL and the WNBA. The ABL folded and they said, the WNBA won't make it another 5 years, definitely won't make it 10. And so it never is never until it is. That's the one thing that I know about life. Never is never until it is. Now, the other thing that I know, and I'm still waiting on you to answer my question. I'm really curious as to how long you've been watching the WNBA. The other thing I know about the WNBA is they in a real fight right now. They in a real fight right now. Candace Parker, regardless of what you believe about Candace, is one of the best players to ever played that game at that level. Candace Parker told you that was her second job. A lot of people look at the WNBA as their second job. Meaning, you'll quit your second job before you quit your first, won't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If your second job get to interfering with your first job, you'll walk off that thing. You know what I'm saying? So don't think that the WNBA couldn't just implode. Don't think that Project B couldn't pull up and sign players who they're on 1-year deals. So they would need to sign new deals. Don't think that they could be like, hey, I'm signing Project B and I'm not going back to the WNBA. See, the powerful thing about the WNBA and where they're at right now versus the NBA when they first started is that these women are walking in brands. And they're walking in educated brands with degrees because y'all made them stay in school.
Mm-hmm.
So they're walking in, some of them with more followers than the entire league. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
We have to push education programs. See, part of the problem, Drill Them Ops, is you. Because you keep telling us about what we can't do instead of about how you going to support it so we can. And that's the type of energy that fuck us up every time. Because we be sitting around talking about, well, we can't do that. We can't do that. Shut the fuck up about what we can't do and tell us about how you going to help with what we need to do. So if they won't, because they no way they would push education programs, then you push the education program.
Mm-hmm.
You push out some education. You start, we got to be. I don't know when we turn into this. We waiting on somebody to be. We ain't that type of people. Mm-hmm. We ain't that type of people. I don't know when the hell we got so lazy. We not that. Just 20, 30, 40 years ago in the 60s, we was, if we will. The kids need to eat breakfast. The Black Panthers is up feeding them before school. When did we turn into we waiting on somebody to do something for us? When we totally capable of our goddamn self.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you only been watching WNBA 3 years. Okay. Yeah, no. Watching the NBA ain't gonna give you the aware about the goings on in the WNBA. You got to get down in here and understand where they at, what they fighting for, what they've been through. But I appreciate you, you know what I'm saying, being in the conversation. But yeah, I think you're a little off here with some of the things that you're talking about. And see, the other thing about women is stop waiting. We ain't gotta wait for what? Wait for what you waiting for, and you the product.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the money winning. It's about here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you think this is about a dollar amount, then you're missing the point. This is about my value. This is about my worth as an individual. This is about you making money off my back, looking me in my face and tell me that you didn't do that. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. There's not a dollar amount that you can put on that. This is about giving me what's due. This is about giving me what's earned. This is about you're not finna keep just. This is about I see other models out here that are working, that are being successful, where I don't have to just be the product. I can be a partner. I can be a collaborator. I can be in a joint venture. I don't have to just let you keep whooping me. The only reason that I'm gonna let you keep whooping me is because I made that choice. But I can definitely turn around and say, hit me again, and see if I don't help you out. And we need to understand that we are empowered and free to do that. Hit me again and see if I don't help you out, because I got options. See, when the WNBA come calling after they figure out they CBA bullshit, these players need to be saying, hey, Kathy, thanks for calling. Let me see what Unrivaled is saying. Let me see what Upshot is saying. Let me see what Project B is saying. Let me see all of those things, and then I'll get back to you. I don't have to just take an offer because you made it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the power that these women are walking into that these players in the NBA haven't been able to have before. They walking in already branded. They walking in already with more money in their bank than the coach. They walking in being able to say, I'm coming in the door with Nerd Wallet and Gatorade and McDonald's. Who you? Oh, you only got a local deal with your little? Okay. All right. That's it? Okay. See, because I'm bringing motion here. How many followers the team got here? 300,000? Okay. Yeah. I'm coming with 4 million. What we doing?
Uh-huh.
What we doing? I already own 2 leagues when I walk in the door. What we talking about? What we talking about? You got to sit at the table different with me. I'm already an owner. I'm not trying to get in the rooms that you in. I'm in them rooms. You seen me. You seen me last Tuesday at the owners meeting. Lil, what do we need to do to be able to take action? I'm sure you got some final thoughts before we wrap this up.
Look, it's a real simple call. You got to protect your name, own your image, build your equity, and never mistake visibility for power. Because when the athletes control the economics behind their talent, they don't just play the game, they change the game. And that's what my hope is for these women and for the young people that's coming behind in every sport. You know, it's time for the labor to get paid. You know, we done been exploited for 400 years. It's time for some paydays now.
Oh yeah, listen, y'all. Everything that we laid out is the difference. It's one truth. Ownership is the difference between being part of the show and being part of the power. Athletes who trademarking their names, negotiating equity stakes, building businesses, forming their own leagues, that they're not anomalies. That's the blueprint. Go check it out. From Angel to Asia, from Serena to Collier, from Michael, from Magic to Shaq, right? LeBron, all of them in there. These athletes have shown us what happens when you stop letting the system define your value and start defining it for yourself. They act like Shaq was just some silly, big goofy dude. Oh, he just silly, crazy. He think he can dance, rap, sing. You looked up Shaq on every goddamn thing.
Yep.
He had a piece of everything. He was in every business meeting he wanted to be in. Gotta start paying attention, y'all. Gotta start paying attention. This is exactly what I think the women of the WW are fighting for. It's not the salaries, it's the stakes. Not just exposure, equity. Not just participation, the power. This moment matters. It matters. It matters. And it matters because they had a 30-day extension and we on November 25th. Where's the deal? November 30th it approaches. That's why this conversation is so important.
Mm-hmm.
If they win this fight, they don't just change their league. They change the entire landscape of every girl coming behind them and every industry out there that's getting ready to go through any type of negotiations, any type of labor fight. If they lose, the old system finds a new way to repackage that same exploitation, and business continues as usual. So the call tonight is simple: protect your name, own your image, build your equity. Never mistake visibility for power, like Lil said. This is it. You got to control the economics behind the talent. This has been Gaslight, unveiling the politics of sports, the rise of NIL, and the new black athlete economy. Equity over exposure was this one, and this was the deep dive into the rise of NIL. We appreciate y'all pulling up and rocking with us for this episode. And we're gonna continue this conversation and many more. If I may ask, given how long you have followed WNBA, will ownership change and give in to the demands, or will it be the players are committed to the leagues? At this point, I think Leo has been pretty clear that the expectation is that this goes to court. Like, this is a fight that you got to have. This is a labor fight that ends at court. I think we headed for a lockout, and I think we headed for a court decision.
Mm-hmm.
It means that much. It means that much at this point. Hashtag respect their game when y'all talk about it. These women deserve equity, legacy, and control over the empire their labor creates. We get ready to get out of here, y'all. But y'all remember, sports, it's never about the games we play. It's the stories we tell and the systems we expose. I'm Cess, your favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies, and I'm rolling with the brilliant political Lil. Y'all stay intentional. Y'all stay unshakable. Y'all stay tuned. Talk soon. Y'all know what it is. We out.
Yeah.